How's it going? This video is for Kristen Hennington. So when I first started the OPEX body assessment, one thing that I did notice is that the body fat percentage is high relative to how big she is. I know that over time she has lost a lot of weight and there is excess skin, you know, still hanging around. And so what we noticed is that while she's done really good, her ratio of lean mass to body fat is still a little bit higher than we would like. And so losing body fat over time is going to be kind of a prime importance over necessarily like pounds. She's relatively small, 5'3", so very powerful, very stout person. So more of an endomorph body shape. But I don't know if she was born endomorph or that was kind of like what happened to her over time. There was a period of a lot of alcohol where she gained a lot of her weight, and so that's been kind of cut out. And definitely a doer, and so out there running around a lot, high stress situation. So hanging on to excess body fat is going to be important. So how that's going to influence my exercise, nutrition, and behavior prescriptions is pretty simple. In the sense of behaviors, we're going to have to prescribe behaviors that are going to help downregulate, help her find a parasympathetic state, not sedate herself at the end of the day via either cannabis use or alcohol to a certain extent, but to try to create behaviors such as disconnecting from the phone, disconnecting from TV, walking distraction free out with the dog, just kind of like anything that would kind of decrease cortisol rise and kind of increase that parasympathetic state. I think that's one of the reasons that she hangs on to excess body fat. The second thing, as far as exercise and nutrition is concerned, again, exercise, she's really into the high intensity. And so it's either like super high intensity or super relatively low, slow walk. And she doesn't really get the high level of resistance training in. So kind of trying to put an emphasis on some resistance training, isometrics, some core holds to develop that muscle mass to help burn some of the body fat is going to be important. So hypertrophy and accumulation phase, I think, is going to be important for her. And as far as nutrition is concerned, getting her to slow down, same thing, distraction-free, chew her food, enjoy the nutrients, make sure she's getting her calories up, kind of an all or nothing thing. Some of the times I think she goes low certain days and then super high to make up for it. And even though the overall calorie consumption seems to be, somewhat relatively decent, I think the assortment of foods and variety of foods and mostly the hygiene surrounding the eating ritual, if you will, can be improved upon. So that's what I noticed in OPEX body, and how that carried over into OPEX move. She moves fairly well. She's fairly well, solid mover. Definitely was a swimmer. Shoulders fatigue super fast. Overall, I think from a muscular endurance kind of standpoint, some range of motion. Notice on the scratch test there's some range of motion, some excessive rib flare, some excessive head movement. So the shoulders have been utilized in that swimmer side of things, and so you see pretty good. I have to go back to the video, but pretty good like internal rotation and not as good external on one side, and pretty symmetrical to the other side as well, actually. So symmetry is not too far off, but she's missing one of the two. It was internal, external. I think it was pretty much internal with the excessive rib flare, trying to get her arm back, and then she'd turn her head in the nature. So kind of working on shoulder mobility, shoulder stability, things of that nature, building strength in the shoulder. I think that's where she lost a lot of it. But then there was also some anterior core strength. So some missing anterior core strength is going to be important. And so exercise prescription is going to be a lot of things that will kind of kill two birds with one stone. We're going to do some like half kneeling landmine pressing and stuff like that in the horizontal, or that 45 kind of degree angle to build shoulder strength, at the same time kind of building that midline and kind of open up the hips simultaneously. Like I said, overall she moved pretty well. Motor control was pretty good, as a whole. shoulder mobility pitched her forward in the overhead squat, but her ability to control the squat was there. Her ability to control the lunge was there. And her times weren't so bad in the planks. I think it became muscular endurance after a while, or maybe even a mental toughness type of thing. And so nutrition wise, to fuel those workouts, so we're going to talk about fuel to support her training, behaviors around that to slow down her training, to be more present in the movement, to own those movements and still give her some of the stuff that she likes, but more in a controlled variety. So rather than a go, but a structured like mixed modal movement with a prescribed rest, so she can kind of recover and still enjoy the type of training that she enjoys. And then from a behavior standpoint, just kind of helping her formulate that schedule so it's less random and more consistent over time. And then moving into work, what I observed in work was pretty interesting. She got 99 calories on the assault air bike test. It's pretty darn good. And she was pretty able to sustain most of the time. I think that her biggest downfall in work was just the desire to actually push herself past her comfort zone. And so that's going to be kind of the basis of kind of informing that decision is how can we get her slightly outside of her comfort zone without having her feel like she's going super overboard, because she kind of resists that, level. So, again, food to support that, behaviors around, okay, how do we build work capacity without you feeling like it's so far out of your comfort zone you want to resist it. And so that's what I saw there. I think the capacity was there. The self-talk during the work was pretty interesting to watch. And I think like a lot of people, the first couple minutes were fine, and then it was like a dreadful couple minutes, and then it was like, okay, it's almost done, and then she went back to work. So super excited to program for her, and just kind of slow her down and help her be present in the movements, be present with her food, be present with her sleep, and kind of get some of the distractions down so she can kind of shed some of that excess body fat, build some muscle to support that, and build some confidence all in all across the board.